Okay. Happy Tuesday to everybody. Good to see everybody here. We are going to start our meeting today. We are going to start our commission meeting that we had planned. It'll be really brief, and then we'll go into our rule making. So we've got that today. So I'm officially calling this meeting in to start. I'm going to do a roll call. My name is Gerasimus Rosados. I am the acting Division Director for the Oil Conservation Division, and I'm also the Oil Conservation Commission Chair, and I'll pass it on to my right here. You don't have it? You need mine? Okay, well, here we go.
Morning, everyone. Greg Bloom, and I'm the designee of the Commissioner of Public Lands. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Dr. William Ampuma, designee of the Energy Secretary.
And Daniel Rubin, counsel to the OCC from the Office of the Attorney General.
Mother, can we get a battery for this one, please? Thank you. Awesome. So we're all here. Excellent. Our next agenda item is to approve the November 12th, 2024 agenda. Can we get a motion for that?
I so move.
Mr. Chair, can we check page number 3? Next meeting is December 12th, 2024, and I just want to clarify that.
Okay. I didn't print my notes for that, so I apologize. Is that what we have on there?
Yes.
Okay, and is there a concern with that?
I thought our next meeting is tomorrow.
No, we were going to combine the November meeting in here, and then we were having the December meeting as well. On December 12th.
So then it's correct.
Yes.
Okay, I second.
Okay, excellent. Ms. Rubin, do we need to do an official call for this one?
You can simply say all in favor, say aye.
Awesome. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Great. The agenda for the November 12th has been approved. We also need to do an approval for the minutes for the October 2024 meeting. Can I get a motion to approve it?
I so move.
I second.
Excellent. All in favor? Please say aye.
Aye.
Excellent. So we approved that. Our next agenda item is the ratification of the commission motion for limited intervention in case number D-506-CV-2023-01180. Mr. Rubin, you're going to take that one, right?
Thank you. I'm Chairman, members of the Commission. As you are probably already aware, the Commission has intervened in the case of Empire versus Goodnight in District Court. We have moved to intervene for the limited purpose of expressing the position to the District Court, that the Commission's adjudication that is set for February should be heard before the District Court weighs in on similar issues. So because of the timing of the litigation, it necessitated filing the motion, and rather than have a special meeting to approve it, I'm asking for ratification of that motion. So if I could hear that motion.
I move.
I second.
And if we could have a quick all in favor.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, so we got that one out of the way as well. Thank you, Mr. Rubin. We're going to start with our 2 cases. Our computer space up here up front is kind of limited. So if you're going to be talking and you're not part of this, we can use the witness stand. So so then people don't have to move and do all of that. You can actually, oh. Okay, well, he moved. Never mind. We'll do it that way then. We're moving on to our pending cases. So our first case is going to be case number 24816 and case number 24878. These are applications from Avant Operating LLC for approval of non-standard unit and compulsory pooling in Lee County, New Mexico. Are all present for this particular case?
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. This is Dina Bennett on behalf of Avant, and I'm appearing virtually today. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Ms. Bennett.
Good morning, Jackie McLean from Hinkle Shaner on behalf of COG Operating and Concho Oil and Gas.
Excellent. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. Michael Felderworth with Santa Fe Office of Holland and Hart, appearing on behalf of PBEX LLC and EGL Resources.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Felderwert. Ms. Bennett, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Since we have this, excuse me, the agenda noted that there were 2 items pending for these cases, but really at this point, there's only one pending, which is to consolidate these cases, these 2 cases for the moment. And the reason that things have changed a bit is in the intervening months since we last met, Avant and PBEX have been working diligently towards a deal that if it's resolved, it would result in PBEX dropping its de novo applications, meaning that we would no longer need to be before the commission. And so Avant's request at this time is that the commission grant the unopposed motion to consolidate these 2 cases and then set these 2 cases for a status conference on the December 12th docket, by which time hopefully we'll have an update on the parties' discussions and hopefully PBEX will be able to dismiss its de novo applications at that time.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Bennett. Any
Thank
other
you.
comments from anybody?
No, Mr. Chair, I think that makes sense to consolidate number 1 and then move them to the December 12th docket for status conference.
Okay. Any questions from the commission for this?
No, from my side.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I think you could either move to table it or simply decide to take no action.
Okay.
I'll interrupt 1 minute. Mr. Rubin, shouldn't we consolidate certainly today?
Thank you, Mr. Felber. Yes.
Okay, that's what threw me off. I was like,
okay.
no.
Yes, that certainly, I apologize. That could be moved upon today.
Okay, I think we should consolidate the cases. Commissioners, do you have any concerns with that?
No, Mr. Chair.
Okay, excellent. So let's definitely consolidate the cases so we can put them together. That's not a problem. And I think we can move it to the December. Is that what you mean by tabling? I wasn't understanding what you meant by tabling, Ms. Rubin.
That if to the extent the parties wish to have the commission hear some further settlement of the case, right now, when it's being consolidated, the commission will have it on its docket. And at a subsequent meeting, we'll have to dispose of it in some manner.
Okay, I think it's okay to move it to the December, and then we have the status hearing then, and then they can bring up anything else that they want in the interim.
Yes, Mr. Chair. So just the motion to consolidate as requested by the parties.
Okay, so motion to consolidate. I believe everybody said yes, but let's hear it again. Commissioner Bloom,
I don't know if we needed a second.
do we need a second?
I believe we do need a second.
Okay.
Yeah. Then I second.
Excellent. And I definitely was motioning for it. So it's approved. Let's
Wait, we do need a vote.
A vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes.
Motion passed. There we go. The coffee will settle in at some point and I'll get this right someday. So I apologize. Excellent. So thank you. Thank you for your time. We'll see you in the December hearing.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Excellent. Our next case was case number 24912, application of Apache Corporation for an adjudicatory hearing to contest the division's conditions of approval on Apache Corporation's scope of work for additional investigation in Lee County. This is a status conference in motion to consolidate as well, I believe. Are the parties present?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, my name is Dal Mullenberg.
Please click your green button. There you go. There we go.
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, my name is Dal Mullenberg. I'm here on behalf of the petitioner, Apache Corporation.
Thank you.
And I am Jesse Tremaine for the Oil Conservation Division. First item, Mr. Chair, I think we're in agreement there. I believe the agenda noted there was a motion to consolidate. There is not a
Okay.
motion to consolidate in this plate. I believe that was just an error.
Okay, excellent. So we have a status conference for it. Okay. Mr. Warburg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members. This case, as the title indicates, relates to an investigation following a release. It's been going on for some time. The current status is Apache submitted a plan for investigation, which the division approved subject to conditions that require extensive additional investigation. I think our expectation at this point is that this will go to hearing. And so I think Mr. Tremaine and I have consulted, and I think we're ready to set a hearing date and proceed with it.
Okay, Mr. Tremaine.
I agree with that, Mr. Chair. I think depending on how long Apache's case proceeds, I expect we're going to need a full day, potentially longer. The division will likely be calling 2 witnesses and need between 2 and 4 hours to present our direct and response. So I'm suspecting that this is going to go probably around a full day, but potentially longer.
Okay.
The division's primary witness is not available on December 12th. So we're recommending the next earliest date in January.
Okay, excellent. And when is our hearing for January? Sheila? Sorry.
Let me look it up.
16th of January.
16th of January. All right. Any concerns from the commissioners?
No, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Pullman? No? Okay. So I think we can set it for the 16th. Mr. Rubin, do I need to do anything else?
No, Mr. Chair. Just make sure we have it on the agenda with notice to the parties.
Excellent. So Sheila, if you could put it on the agenda for the 16th, the Apache case.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Should we check availability for the 17th as well if this spills over?
We probably should.
And I am available.
I am as well.
I believe I am.
I should be as well. May I ask, do the parties need any preliminary matters decided? Are there going to be any preliminary motions or any scheduling orders that need to be entered that you anticipate?
Yep, council, at this point, we don't anticipate anything.
Okay, thank you.
Agreed.
We'll just wait on Dr. Mpoma and see his schedule. He's
I'm
a busy
good.
man.
I'm good.
He's good. Okay, so let's schedule it for the 16th and possibly also for the 17th, Sheila, in case it spills over.
Okay.
Mr. Morberg, Mr. Tremaine, anything else?
No, nothing from me.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Now this will take us into our next case, which is case number 23580, which is application of Wild Earth Guardians to amend the commission's rules to address PFAS, amendments to 19.15.2, 19.15.7, 19.15.14, 19.15.16, and 19.15.25 in the New Mexico Administrative Code. It's going to be a hearing, so we'll ask for our hearing officer to come up. Ms. Orth, Felicia Orth will be doing that. And once you get settled in, Ms. Orth, we'll transfer it over to you.
That's on. Good morning. My name is Felicia Orth, a hearing officer appointed by the Oil Conservation Commission to conduct a hearing in case number 23580. These are proposed amendments to the Commission's rules to address chemical disclosure and the use of perfluoroalkyl and polyfluoroalkyl substances, which we'll be referring to as PFAS all week long, in oil and gas extraction. The affected rules are 19.15.2, 19.15.7, 19.15.14, 19.15.16, and 19.15.25. The hearing procedures are set out in the Commission's rulemaking rules, which is 19.15.3. We do have 5 parties in the action. These are folks who entered their appearance timely, and most are presenting technical witnesses. I will name them and invite appearances in the order in which we will be hearing from them, at least generally with accommodation for witness time constraints. The petitioner is Wild Earth Guardians. Mr. Davis?
Good morning, Madam Hearing Officer, Commissioners. I'm Tim Davis. I represent Wild Earth Guardians in this matter.
Thank you. I know that I excused New Energy Economy from part of this based on international travel, but if someone is here from NEE, happy to accept your appearance. Okay. NEE is the second party we'll hear from, subject to time constraints. Then the Oil Conservation Division. Mr. Tremaine.
Thank you, Madam Hearing Officer, Chair, and Commissioners. This is Jesse Tremaine on behalf of the Oil Conservation Division.
Thank you so much. Nick Maxwell is ordinarily on the platform. Mr. Maxwell, are you with us?
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you for having me. My name's Nicholas Maxwell. I'm one of the people of Lee County, New Mexico. It's good to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Maxwell. And finally, NMOGA, the New Mexico Oil and Gas Association.
Good morning, Madam Hearing Officer. Good morning, Commission. I'm Chris Mulcahy of Holland and Hart Law Firm with my colleague Adam Rankin on behalf of NMOGA.
Thank you so much. In addition,
Good morning, Madam Hearing Examiner and members of the Commission. EOG Resources had also entered an appearance in this case. We will not be presenting any technical testimony. We will not be objecting to exhibits, but we're simply here on record to monitor. Along with me is Dina Bennett from Madril Sperling.
All right. Well, thank you very much. In addition to the presentations by the 5 parties, we will also be hearing from public commenters up to 3 minutes each. We'll have public comment a couple of times each day. And actually, we'll begin with accepting whatever public comment there is to be given in just a moment. So if you're on the platform or in the room to offer public comment, just need a few more minutes to address preliminary matters. The parties and I had a pre-hearing conference before the holiday, the weekend, and the 2 snow days. And we addressed a few things there that I should mention to the Commission before we begin. Firstly, there were 4 motions, each of them addressing the testimony of witnesses and designed to exclude or otherwise restrict that testimony. Based on a reading of what counted as technical testimony, for example. Those 4 motions were denied with the exception of an acknowledgement that as to Ms. Troutman, she really is a fact witness rather than someone with who will be testifying as to specialized knowledge or expert knowledge in a specialized area. You will hear from her, though. The parties presented basically an agreement amongst themselves. They were all agreed that in order to try to finish the evidentiary record this week so that we do not have to schedule extra days when we get to Friday, they wanted to forego witness summaries. We've all had the actual testimony in hand in writing, full narrative for a couple of weeks now. And so each witness will be sworn because the rules require they be sworn. They will adopt their written testimony under oath, and then they will stand for cross. We'll begin with cross by the other parties and then come to the commission in the event the commissioners have questions. Some of the witnesses have prepared rebuttal, and all direct and rebuttal will be given in the same witness testimony session so that we're not going back and forth multiple times. There will be opening statements of 20 minutes each, and we won't address closing statements until we get to the end of the evidentiary record. The commission will decide when we have completed the evidentiary record whether it chooses to deliberate immediately or chooses to deliberate in a subsequent meeting. If you choose to deliberate immediately, the parties would like the courtesy of a verbal closing statement before you do that. Could be limited to 20 minutes, for example. If you choose, on the other hand, to deliberate at a subsequent meeting, they're happy to be invited to submit written closing statements that you would be able to refer to before you met again. So, do the commissioners have any questions about anything I've said in my opening statement? If not, I will proceed to invite public comment.
I do not have any questions.
I do not.
Thank you very much.
Madam Hearing Officer,
Yes.
I just wanted to make you and the parties aware that I filed Mr. Horwitz a written rebuttal this morning. And, that is the acceptance of that testimony, I understand, is contingent upon a finding from the commission that it is actually offered for rebuttal purposes. And so when Mr. Horwitz takes the stand, hopefully today, this afternoon, maybe this morning, I just wanted to get some direction as to whether the commission wanted him to actually read that to make that determination, or if there was another procedure you'd like for us to follow prior to me moving for its admission.
All right. Let's address that when we get Mr. Horwitz on the stand. I will ask the other parties sooner rather than later. Let me know if you have an objection along those lines. And I will take an opportunity at our break to read it myself.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's turn then to public comment. Once again, public comment will be taken from those in the room and those on the platform. Please gather your thoughts. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes and just one comment for each person. If you have more to say than can be fit into 3 minutes, we invite you to put your thoughts into writing and submit them to Sheila Apodaca, the commission administrator. The commission will consider your written comment as having equal weight as anything you said verbally. So let me ask first, is there someone in the room who is here to offer public comment this morning? There will be lots of other chances. I think I saw you, Mr. Gom, first, yes? And you, ma'am, I'll call on you next. Is there anyone else in the room who is going to want to give public comment? No? All right. If you would please, Mr. Gom. And I'm going to ask everyone to spell your name for the transcript and to ask if you swear or affirm to tell the truth.
Thank you. My name's Norman Gaume, Gaume.
And do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
Thank you. I'll start your 3 minutes now.
Good morning, Madam Hearing Officer and Commissioners. I'm Norm Gom. I live in rural Sandoval County. I have expertise in and formal training, a master's degree in water and wastewater engineering. And I'm expert in the state's water resources, having served for 6 years as the New Mexico Interstate Stream Commission Director. My concern is that New Mexico is in dire straits with regard to water resilience. And contaminants such as PFAS need to be prevented as opposed to having to deal with the aftermath more than we already have. I'm president of the New Mexico Water Advocates, and I'm making these comments on behalf of the organization and myself. My topic is the New Mexico Water Quality Control Commission 11-day rules hearing on making rules for the treatment and use of produced water. I was an expert witness. I attended all of that hearing. An expert witness for New Mexico Energy Economy. I'm not affiliated with them here. Let me tell you what was said. First of all, during and before the hearing, there were claims without evidence that PFAS is not used in oil and gas drilling and completions. The NMOGA president and CEO wrote editorials in the Albuquerque Journal and the Santa Fe New Mexican saying that no PFAS was used. At the hearing, I talked to an Occidental vice president from Houston that I met in 2020 when I was on the Produced Water Research Consortium Technical Steering Committee. He assured me that there was nothing that was added to drilling fluids and completion fluids that I would object to. Those were his words. The sworn testimony painted a different picture. Mike Hightower, who is the director of the New Mexico the New Mexico Produced Water Research Consortium, testified under cross-examination, sworn testimony, that whether or not PFAS is used is up to individual operators. The NMOGA CEO and president was listed as an expert witness, but she chose not to testify. And so nothing that she said was sworn testimony and subject to cross-examination. The facts are different. There's no data in the consortium's produced water characterization database, none. PFAS has been found in produced water in the limited samples that are available, and we know that operators guard the quality of their produced water. They're free with the quantity information, but they won't say anything about the quality of it. I did a quick calculation after EPA set a new limit on 2 PFAS chemicals. 1.5 ounces of PFAS would contaminate 100,000 acre feet above the safe drinking water limit that was just set. 1.5 ounces, 100,000 acre feet.
Mr. Gom, would you wrap up, please?
I will. The governor in her 2018 campaign platform advocated for full disclosure. Colorado mandates full disclosure. The oil and gas industry says they don't use PFAS. Your job at this point is to ban the use of PFAS and to require disclosure. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gom. Ma'am. Spell your name first, please.
Good morning, Madam Commissioner. I'm sorry, I don't know your title, and commissioners. My name is Kathleen McLeod, MCCLOUD, and this is rather short notice for me. I live in La Cienega.
Hold on. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
All right. And I'll start your 3 minutes.
Okay. I live in La Cienega. I'm up north. I know a lot of the oil and gas happens down south. However, we have had a recent misfortune with our water, which is currently under investigation by the Department of Defense, the Army of the National Guard, regarding a plume which has contaminated the water of several wells in La Cienega. So that's my reason for being here and my own interest in PFAS. I'm also a long-term resident of New Mexico. So I'm all about supporting Wild Earth Guardians and new energy economy. Full disclosure, there has been nothing but duplicity and lies surrounding PFAS, and the new science, not new, the science has been there, but the information coming out that is indeed very dangerous for the future of the planet. So I would just say to the commissioners here, be on the solution or be in the solution or be in the problem. But this is our state, this is our land, and it belongs to our children. That's all I have to say. Do the right thing. Full disclosure. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me move to the platform now. Let's see. I am unable to see the names. Sheila, would you unmute one of them at a time? Oh, now I see Nancy Yen. All right. Ms. Yen,
Yes.
if you would spell your name for the transcript, please.
My last name is Yuen, spelled Y-U-E-N.
Thank you. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
Thank you. I'll start your 3 minutes.
The New Mexico Oil Conservation Commission has the authority and obligation to demand disclosure of all chemicals used in oil and gas exploration and retrieval within the state of New Mexico. There are several chemical substances that are illegal to use in any context, and companies operating within the state of New Mexico must ensure the commission that these chemicals are not in use in their operations. It is incumbent upon these companies to provide a complete list of chemicals used, and that unannounced well inspections must be allowed to ensure not only public safety, but compliance with the company's own stated list of chemicals used. Among the chemicals used in exploration and extraction operations, per and polyfluoroalkyl substances must be prohibited due to their permanence in the environment. Since these chemicals do not break down under natural conditions, they must never be released into the natural environment under any circumstances. These reasons are inarguably clear and pertinent to the discussion at hand. Companies who either explore or extract oil, gas, or any other resources must provide complete lists of chemicals used, using the ingredients' chemical names and not trademarked or proprietary names, which can be used to hide their actual chemical makeup. So-called trade secrets prevent other companies from using proprietary formulations, but all companies must disclose these formulations to the New Mexico Oil Conservation Commission for safety and accountability. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Yan. Sheila, would you move to the second hand there? Amy Christian. Ms. Christian?
Yes.
Hello, would you spell your name for the transcript, please?
Christian, Christian.
Thank you. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
Thank you. I'll start your 3 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you. I am a resident of the Pewaukee River Valley here in northern Santa Fe County, and I'm coming to you today as both a private citizen, a mother who has raised their kids here on this land, a resident teacher in the public schools and in schools throughout New Mexico, and also a representative of Northern New Mexico Surge, which is a local chapter of the National Showing Up for Racial Justice organization. I'm deeply concerned that this issue is even needing to be discussed. I'm wondering how it can be possible that we're entrusting industry with the health and well-being of our children, our families, and the very water that supplies life to New Mexicans across our state. We know for a fact, it's not conjecture, it's been proven, well documented, that PFAS are highly toxic even in tiny amounts, and that they can contaminate entire ecosystems. They present a high risk of contaminating both surface and groundwater, but groundwater here in New Mexico, the groundwater is even more susceptible to this risk, and 87% of our public water comes from groundwater, meaning that our state, more than any other place in the country, is very susceptible to this risk. It's been proven that any exposure to PFAS can be linked to cancer, kidney cancer, testicular cancer, thyroid disease, high cholesterol, reproductive and developmental toxicity. The list goes on. And our younger generations are already seeing an increase in these cancer rates. And the oil and gas industry are amplifying this already present threat by injecting the PFAS underground, which is not how it's used in many other contexts. Why are we protecting industry over our own health and the health and future of our future generations? We have to stop. We have to move away from protecting the profits over people. What will all this be worth if our children and grandchildren can't even live healthy lives? I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional. Pardon me, but I just implore you, it's in your hands. We have to end this lack of disclosure and accountability. And the concept of trade secrets is just a farce. There's absolutely no excuse for the lack of a disclosure that leaves our people unknowingly exposed and unprotected. We need public protection, and it's in your hands to do it. Please, we need the industry to be held accountable for the average of 4 spills a day of fracking wastewater. We must restrict production until there is adequate treatment and discharge methods. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Christian. Should Sheila move to the next hand? No, Nodia?
Hi,
Nadia?
my name is Nadia Brent.
Nadia?
B-R-E-N-T.
Okay. And would you spell the first name as well, Nadia?
Yes. N-O-D-I-A-H.
Thank you so much. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
I'll start your 3 minutes.
I would like to thank our hosts at the OCC. I appreciate this opportunity to speak. I want to acknowledge the environmental nonprofits that work tirelessly on our behalf. Your conviction, compassion, and wisdom are a source of great comfort and inspiration to the citizens that attend these meetings and beyond. I would also like to express deep gratitude to our Native communities. Thank you for your prayers for all creation. Your energy feeds the spirit of these lands, and your teachings are the touchstone of conservation. I'm here to ask the OCC to exercise its authority to ban the inclusion of PFAS in fracking operations and prohibit the designation of chemical identities as trade secrets, plus implement regular testing to ensure compliance. After much research on the subject of PFAS, I remain unconvinced of the wisdom of poisoning our water in order to gain access to more fossil fuels that will further heat the planet, potentially ensuring that our species and others will perish prematurely. I don't understand how we as a state and a country could believe that it's morally acceptable to contribute disproportionately to this horrific preventable demise that would affect and is in fact already affecting the whole world. Our elected officials and the regulatory agencies that they helped to create exist to safeguard public health. We entrust them to hold the line between us and bad actors. The pollutants that have been endorsed in my lifetime alone are all waterborne and airborne due to evaporation, We may not be able to escape any of them, but we can choose not to boost their saturation levels. I would like to think that cleanup and mitigation are a taxpayer priority rather than the continued proliferation of toxins. I understand that the United States rests on a foundation of unremediated decay, namely genocide and slavery. Is this why we seem to be unable to build decisively in the direction of stability? We must turn this around. Our country will soon be under the administration of officials who have promised to enact sweeping environmental deregulations. Let's resolve to uphold principles of respect for Earth and all life, not because it's a guarantee of immunity, but because it's who our children and their children need us to be. Speaking of respect, commissioners, before you knew your mics were on, we on Zoom heard you make a series of disrespectful remarks about the people who were coming in to join this meeting. Would you be willing to apologize for that?
Ms. Brent, that may have to remain a rhetorical question at this point. I'm sorry I wasn't here.
I tried to alert you. I posted the remarks plus an alert telling you that you could be heard, but nobody responded. So I did try to help you be aware of what was going on.
Thank you. I'll ask the chair later if you'd like to address that. Thank you very much for your comment.
Thank you. Thank you.
Would you move to the next hand, please, Sheila? This is Savannah Woods. Ms. Woods?
Yes.
Would you spell your name for the record, please?
SAVANNA WOODS.
And do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
All right, I'll start your 3 minutes.
I support a prohibition on PFAS and PFOA in oil and gas operations and a requirement to disclose chemicals used in downhole operations because PFAS and PFOA do not break down and are known to accumulate in land, water, and in our bodies, leading to their nickname forever chemicals. There is no level of exposure to these contaminants that is safe. Even a tiny amount can contaminate entire ecosystems. Exposure to toxic chemicals like PFAS is a serious public health risk, and oil and gas regulations must prevent drilling operations from contaminating our land and water. Without disclosure requirements, there is no way for regulators to verify or enforce a prohibition on PFAS in oil and gas operations. That is why I am advocating for disclosure requirements, such as those that are in place in California and Colorado. As a young person, I am concerned about cancer showing up in younger generations due to exposure to carcinogens like PFAS. Also, PFAS bioaccumulates, so our babies will have more PFAS in their bodies than we do. But what I'm especially concerned about is the protection of profits over people. New Mexico is the second largest oil and gas producer in the nation, and I'm concerned that our failure to require disclosure, as other states do, is an attempt to protect the fossil fuel industry's profits. Every year, American taxpayers pay about $20 billion to subsidize the fossil fuel industry. We cannot keep allowing them to get away with murder for the sake of my generation and your grandchildren's generation. The oil and gas industry has known about climate change for decades and has continued to double down on production while spending millions in misinformation campaigns so they can continue to profit. They are not known for their integrity. Your duty is to keep us safe, not corporations. I ask the Oil Conservation Commission to ensure that the rules governing oil and gas drilling prevent contamination of New Mexico water with PFAS and any other harmful chemicals that can accumulate in soil and water and harm public health. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Woods. You would move to the next name. No, we've already heard from Nadia Woods. Let's see here. Paul Pino. Okay.
I think it's me, Lori Costello, or no?
I think since I have Mr. Pino on the screen, can I take you next, please?
Absolutely. I'm sorry to
All
interrupt.
right. Thank
Sorry
you.
about that, Lori.
Mr. Pino, if you would spell your name for the record, please.
Paul Pino, Pino.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
I will start your 3 minutes.
Okay. So I'm a retired teacher. I'm a rancher, a great-grandfather, a downwinder, songwriter, and my people have been here in New Mexico for at least 10,000 years. And I'm just a regular guy. I don't study this stuff. And so this is what I understand. The federal government, led by Dick Cheney and Republicans, created a law that made it legal to pollute water if you were drilling for oil, if you're an oil company. And if that isn't like demon level stuff, I don't know what is, you know. The EPA says that these chemicals are not safe at any level, and they last for a very, very long time, even longer than my family has been here. So since the feds created this problem, you know, it's up to you guys, it's up to us to protect ourselves. You know, the feds aren't going to do it for us. They're bought off for sure, you know, but we can protect ourselves, you know, if we want to, if we have the cojones to do it, you know. Here's something that's kind of funny, but it's not funny also. I heard this thing, it said, the worst thing that can happen to a third world country is for someone to discover oil, gold, or diamonds there, you know? And so here we are blessed with all this oil. And then what happens? You know, people come in that just want to monetize everything, take all the money out of here and leave us with the filth. And that's exactly what happened with the uranium industry. You know, I heard like around 500 abandoned uranium mines that the companies just went bankrupt or just like left. Nobody's holding them accountable. Who's going to have to pay for that? Taxpayers. And I don't want to see that happen again here. So please stop the use of these chemicals and absolutely require disclosure. Be stand-up people, and that's it. Thank you very much for listening today.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pino. I would take Ms. Costello next, and I'll get to you very soon, Ms. Costello. But right now, the chair would like to pause the public comment in order to address the hot mic.
So the comment was made that there was a hot mic, and I can first off want to apologize for anything that was said on a hot mic. Our mics were off here on the dais. So it may have been someone on the actual platform that said it, but we respect everybody's opinions. We respect everybody's point of view. And that's the whole point of this hearing, to be able to take this information and to be able to accept what's coming in from the public, what's coming in from oil and gas, what's coming in from the environmental groups, and make the best decision possible. I can speak for the three of us commissioners up here. We hold the respect very high for everybody, and we respect every single one of you. So we meant no disrespect. If it was presumed that it was us that said it, I apologize not only for us, but for all the comments that were made. We need to be respectful. So if you're going to be on the public comment access as well, either make sure your comments are going to be acceptable or keep your microphone shut until time to be able to make your comments. This is a respectful place. We expect everybody to show the same level of respect for everyone else. We're all entitled to our opinions. So again, I apologize for any comments that were made. I could tell you that the three of us commissioners did not say that. Our microphones were off, but it may have been said on the public platform. This morning, there was quite a lot of chatter before we started, prior to us even having our microphones on here. So please make sure that you're respectful. We're going to be respectful, and then this makes it the best hearing possible. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Let's turn to Ms. Costello.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, for those comments. My name is Lori, Lauri, Costello, Costello.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
I'll start your 3 minutes.
I am a family physician living in Las Cruces. I urge you to prohibit the use of PFAS along the oil and gas life cycle and to further prohibit the use of any undisclosed chemicals in fracking operations. Let me first clarify that PFAS refers to per- and polyfluoroalkyl substances. PFOS is simply the most ubiquitous since it was first marketed for widespread use in the 1940s. PFOA is the other most common of more than 5,000 of these toxins. Some of them already exist in the bloodstreams of essentially everyone in the US and likely in the world. Many PFAS chemicals are carcinogens and/or endocrine disruptors. Endocrine disruptors cause malfunction of hormone pathways and affect every system in our bodies, including thyroid, which regulates our metabolism, neurologic, gastrointestinal, cardiovascular, reproductive. Endocrine disruptor contamination of water in Garfield County, Colorado was documented in 2016 while I was living in that state. In medicine, we used to subscribe to the precautionary principle and emphasized caution, pausing, and review before promoting new innovations that may prove disastrous. For the last many decades, however, industry has emphasized denial, refusal to acknowledge scientific proof, false accusations, and externalization of costs. The result is harm to people, wildlife, and to the environment that used to sustain us. This harm tends to disproportionately affect marginalized populations in sacrifice zones, such as Northwest New Mexico and the Permian Basin area. The complicity of regulatory agencies and of some politicians is astounding. The fact that there are no publicly available lab tests to analyze for PFAS and few, if any, public health systems addressing the problem, there is essentially no provision for public protection from PFAS. How ironic that the governor has supposedly championed the fight against PFAS in our drinking water, yet she continues to advocate for the reuse of produced water contaminated by much more than just these forever toxins. The OCC cannot claim to lead the state's charge toward clean energy, as stated on your website, while ignoring the fracking crisis. Please prohibit the use of PFAS along the oil and gas life cycle and further prohibit the use of any undisclosed chemicals in fracking operations. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Costello. If you would move to the next hand, please, Sheila. Let's see, Erica Lee Simca.
Yes, so that's Erica, ERICA, Lee, LEA, hyphen Simca, SIMKA.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I affirm.
Thank you. I'll start your 3 minutes now.
Yes, my name is Reverend Erica Lee Simca, and I am a parent, a pastor, and a two-time cancer survivor. I beat ovarian cancer in 2006 and thyroid cancer in 2021. The thyroid cancer is back now, and it is classified as chronic. I am 36 years old, and I am essentially making a third go at fighting cancer. While I can't be 110% sure of the causes of my cancers, genetic predispositions have been ruled out. I believe my repeated cancers are connected to environmental carcinogens. If I had known about these forever chemicals in the water before now, I believe I would have made different choices for mine and my child's consumption. Some people's bodies, like mine, really are that sensitive, but I didn't know. I implore you to update the chemical disclosures so people, including myself and my baby too, can take precautions, as I now know that exposure of any amount can have health impacts. These changes you are considering about disclosures, and I'd even like to see stricter standards for waste in the future. These are not a matter of feeling sorry for the girl with cancer. This is about recognizing the harm you caused yourself by choosing to even risk harming a neighbor. Whatever your faith or none, the golden rule is phrased differently, but is essentially universal. Treat others the way you want to be treated. And finally, as a partner of a non-English speaker, I'd like to be on record as objecting to what I understand to be the Commission's deliberate refusal to provide interpreter services, specifically for Spanish speakers who are some of the most impacted by these issues as workers and residents of New Mexico. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Lee Simca, for your comments. Let me correct one impression there. The denial of the original request for an interpreter was a result of the fact that the request came from an organization and not an individual. And Commission Counsel wanted to make sure that, in fact, monolingual Spanish speakers appearing as individuals in these hearings were making that request. It is an expensive and time-consuming proposition for the agency to provide those interpretive services. When I heard last Wednesday that there would be some folks, individuals, desiring interpretation between English and Spanish, notwithstanding the fact that we did not have a timely request for that service, I did ask Ms. Apodaca to try to find an interpreter for some time this week that we could identify. I wanted to confirm with her this morning and haven't yet done it. I understand, though, that she has, in fact, found an interpreter for a couple of hours on Friday. And as soon as I confirm that, I'll be announcing it all week and hoping that the monolingual Spanish speakers who'd like to offer their comment can make their comment during that time. I do have a plan B and a plan C if that doesn't work for the individuals who are affected. But it really is our intention to include as much public input as we can. That's why the Commission does these hearings in the first place. So, but thank you for raising that.
Thank you. I understand.
All right. Sheila, if you would move to SS. Let's see here. Stephen
Schmidt.
Schmidt. All right. Thank you. Mr. Schmidt, would you spell your name for the transcript?
STEPHEN SCHMIDT.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. I'll start your 3 minutes.
I probably won't need 3. I just wanted to speak as someone who has been affected by PFAS in their well. I live in La Cienega. My well has been verified as containing PFAS chemicals. I don't know how long that has been occurring. Maybe most likely the 20 years or 18 years that I've been living here. I've spent about $1,500 to try to mitigate that so I can drink the water. I don't know what the health cost will be for me in the future and what that will cost me. It may be my death, who knows? And so I'd like to say if industry has claims that they don't use PFAS, then I don't see why they would have any opposition to testing for those chemicals. If they're not using them, they'll come up clean and they're cleared and they can't be taken to court or anything like that if it's true. I'm very much for disclosing what is used by by the industry in these chemicals, and I hope to prevent all other people in New Mexico having to deal with the issues I've had to deal with, along with my neighbors, which also have contaminated wells. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Schmidt. Sheila, will you move to CK, please? She has her camera on. There you go.
Hi, is that me?
Yes, that's Carolyn Knapp.
That's right.
Would you spell your name for the transcript, please?
It's Caroline Knapp with a K, K-N-A-P-P.
And do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
And if you would please speak up, you're a little soft.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Can you hear me better now?
Yes, I'll start your 3 minutes.
Great. So like the last two speakers, I'm here to comment as someone whose health and community have already been damaged by PFAS contamination in groundwater. My husband and I, like Stephen Schmidt, live in La Cienega, which is a beautiful and historic rural community just south of Santa Fe. We're near an ancestral Pueblo village site at the foot of the Caja del Rio and beside the Santa Fe River. We are also a few miles downhill from the National Guard Training Center at the Santa Fe Airport. 1 year ago, exactly on a Friday afternoon, 3 o'clock, I happened to open an email from the Santa Fe County Sustainability Program because its title mentioned La Cienega. As I read it, I got chills. The email said that PFAS had been found in a few test wells, and as I scrutinized the map, I realized that one of them was on our street. That was the only notification we got that something was wrong. The next weeks were a blur of activism and urgent fact-finding about water testing and filtration. When the dust settled, it was clear that the water my husband and I have been drinking, showering in, watering our vegetable garden with, and feeding to our chickens was deeply contaminated. Our well has the highest levels of PFAS in our neighborhood. And because we eat our own vegetables and eggs and our neighbor's goat milk, we were taking PFAS into our bodies at high rates. I've since had my blood tested, and I have abnormally elevated levels of PFAS circulating through my body in a signature that matches exactly the balance of PFAS found in our water. Though I have no other risk factors for it, I now have very high levels of bad LDL cholesterol, which is a known effect of PFAS. My husband and I now have to live with, for the rest of our lives, increased risk for heart attack and stroke, for kidney and testicular cancer, as well as reduced immunity and scores of other vulnerabilities, many of them still being discovered. We have to live with all of that because of the negligence of the National Guard, which released firefighting foams directly into the soil, permanently contaminating the groundwater. None of the individual guardsmen would have wished to harm us. They themselves were almost certainly harmed by those same foams. The villain here is the lack of regulation. The Oil Conservation Commission has an opportunity to change that pattern, preventing the harm that was done to us in La Cienega from being inflicted on countless communities across our state. I urge you to ban PFAS compounds and all undisclosed chemicals from use in oil and gas drilling, development, and production. You truly hold our health and the health of future generations in your hands. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Knapp. Sheila, if you would move to G, Gail. Let's see. I just see the first name, Gail. All right.
Yeah.
All right. And also, Sheila, hold on one sec. Would you please mute SS? Because I see the screen going in and out. There we go. So Ms. Gail, if you would give us your full name and spell it for the transcript.
It's Gail Robin Seidel, Gail Robin Seydel.
All right. Thank you. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
I'll start your 3 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having this hearing. It's very important that you use your regulatory powers to really protect New Mexicans. I grew up in a cancer cluster community in which the water table that we all drank out of underneath our homes and farms was contaminated with endocrine disrupting chemicals. My mother and my aunt who lived next door all died very young, as did many of the adults in the community that I grew up in. Many of us were also affected, the children, and many of us have different kinds of health issues from those exposures at very young ages. So I would request that you ban the inclusion of all PFAS and PFOA chemicals in future industrial oil and gas processes, that you also require full disclosure, and you can do this without impacting so-called trade secrets, industrial trade secrets. So please do that, as well as please champion regular testing of the chemicals in use of our water. You have a great responsibility as a watchdog commission to protect us, and we really hope you do. And just finally, I would say, you know, I see 5 of you up on the dais there, and statistically speaking, if you look to your right and you look to your left, 1 of the 3 of you will get cancer and die of it in your lifetimes. And we are all having these massive exposures to PFAS and other endocrine disrupting chemicals. In fact, Albuquerque had the first public conference in 1993 on endocrine disrupting chemicals, which these chemicals are, and was very impactful in terms of promoting many organic processes in food production throughout the state. And I hope that you will take up that banner and really regulate the oil and gas industry and protect the people of New Mexico. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Finally, Sheila, would you move to thank you? Yes, E. Elaine Semino, I believe. Ms. Semino? Still muted.
Hello.
Hello. Would you spell your name for the transcript, please?
Hello, my name is Elaine Chimino. That's Cimino. I'm the director of. Okay.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
All right. I'll start your 3 minutes.
Okay. I'm the director of Common Ground Rising. Please see our written report. I lived in La Cienega for 10 years near the Santa Fe River in a row of houses impacted by nitrate pollution that had caused blue baby syndrome in infants. And despite this known hazard, no investigation was conducted into other contaminants that could have seeped into our aquifer from the nearby National Guard sludge fields and wastewater treatment plant. The PFAS exposure found by the USGS has lasting impacts on health, of which I now have severe autoimmune issues. I am deeply concerned for my neighbors, their children, their grandchildren, who continue to face these unresolved health risks. In 2004, I witnessed a sludge truck illegally dumping sludge waste into a ditch that flowed directly into the river. When I reported it, instead of the state police, representatives from the company arrived, along with the sheriff, who circled my car and took no action. This incident exemplifies the enforcement failures that communities like La Cienega face. Unfortunately, Rio Rancho has suffered from these same practices. In 2018, 288 truckloads of radioactive T-norm sludge from the Rio West brine wells and a waste injection field were illegally dumped into the municipal landfill by fracking Baker tank truck operators. This toxic waste was also used for dust control during the EVAP pond reconstruction, allowing dangerous particles to become airborne, increasing exposure risks. The site that has not been cleaned up and those responsible have not been held accountable. These incidents highlight the compounding risks that toxic waste and PFAS present across New Mexico, especially given our fractured geology, which makes contaminants even more likely to spread into our soils, ground drinking water, and air. With nearly half of New Mexico's population on Medicaid, these health impacts fall hardest on vulnerable communities. Continuing to allow PFAS use will lead to escalating healthcare costs, environmental degradation that ultimately strain our economy. It's time to ban PFAS, close trade secret loopholes, and prioritize the health and safety of all New Mexicans. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Chimino. All right, we'll do one more online and then I'll return to the room here. Let's see, Michael Swearingen.
Yes, thank you.
Hello, spell your name for the record, please.
Michael, Michael, Swearingen, Sweringgen.
Thank you. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
I'll start your 3 minutes.
Good morning. Name is Michael Swearingen. I was a science teacher and taught biology, earth science, and the science of climate change. PFAS are some of the most dangerous and toxic chemicals that exist. Any dose is too high. No thoughtful person would ever release PFAS into the environment for any reason, ever. I'm going to talk about two things. One is the chemistry, what makes these last forever. And the other is one of the reasons why they're so dangerous. So what makes PFAS forever chemicals? So the most important chemical of life is called carbon. Here is a carbon atom. There are also atoms called fluorine. Here's a fluorine atom. When they get together, they make the strongest chemical bond that carbon can make. And that's why PFAS, which have lots of these carbon-fluorine bonds, they're almost impossible to get rid of. So what are they used for? These super strong chemical bonds make them very good at some things. Where there's a lot of heat or a lot of pressure, PFAS don't melt or gum up the works. And that's why they're used in fracking fluid and oil and gas wells. They keep the gas and oil flowing, don't gum up the works under the heat and heavy pressure of fracking wells. So today you're going to hear a lot about the very real dangers of PFAS, and we already have heard. But I want to focus on one particular danger. These forever chemicals basically also last forever in our bodies. Once they get in our bloodstream, they can't be filtered out. We start getting PFAS into our bodies from the placenta before we are born and in mother's milk. Even at very low exposures, they slowly build up and we can't get rid of them. So the damage gets worse over time. We get them from contaminated water, from fracking, from fire retardant foams, contaminated air, and nonstick pots and utensils. Each company has a fracking fluid recipe using PFAS chemicals, and they won't tell us what's in it because it's a trade secret. This has to change. At a bare minimum, they should report all the chemicals they use in fracking, since they leave behind toxic sacrifice zones they will never fix. In my opinion, PFAS should never be allowed in the environment. Why would we allow a poison into our food and water that we can never get rid of? The answer is obvious. Tens of billions of dollars in profit for the oil and gas industry. And this is just one of the reasons we need to leave the oil and gas industries behind and use new ways of powering our world. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Swearingen. I'm going to move now back to the room. Is there anyone else in the room who would like to offer public comment this morning? There will be other opportunities. Ma'am in the plaid, I saw your hand first, and then I'll call on those of you in the back row. And for everyone, there's a 3-minute limit. Please gather your thoughts. I will ask you to spell your name, and I will ask you to swear or affirm to tell the truth. So, ma'am, if you would state and spell your name.
My name's Evelyn Bemis, Evalyn, last name Bemis.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
Thank you. I'll start your 3 minutes.
I am a resident of Santa Fe that just absolutely loves this environment, the people, the wildlife. And I'm not here on behalf of any organization. I'm a photographer, and I was honored in 2014 to take one of the very first fracking reality tours that Daniel So conducted. Actually, he did it just for me, which was amazing. And we got to see this whole huge swath of New Mexico up in that northwest quadrant, and the impacts on people there, particularly homesteads where there'd been a waiver of setback, and they had the flaring, the VOCs from that, all the other impacts going on with their livestock, their children. And so I was rather astonished at what was going on with very little knowledge to the public. So when the BLM started to do their resource management plan amendment to address fracking, which had wasn't in existence when the first plan was created. And I went to a scoping meeting at the counselor chapter, and afterwards there were question and answers you could do with the staff. And I said, what do you do with those abandoned oil pipelines that we had seen? And they said, we just leave them to rot in place. And I was really astonished by that. And subsequently, they stopped at the scoping meetings, they stopped having the staff be able to answer questions directly. And now here we are 10 years later, and the resource management plan has been abandoned. They just gave up on it after hundreds of meetings and testimony. And so I'm speaking on behalf of the people who live up there, the environment that's been really taking a hit. It's been considered a sacrifice zone. And that's just one part of New Mexico. We know there's something like 4 spills a day of fracking fluids. Those are the ones that are reported. So at the very minimum, this thing you're being asked to do to ban the use of these chemicals that are known to be so dangerous, something that you can do. And we can't rely on the feds to do it. Obviously, they had a chance during all that resource management plan amendment process to address, and it's certainly not going to happen in the new test and the new administration. So thank you guys for giving this a really serious consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Bemis. Those of you in the back would like to come up one at a time and offer your comment. Please state and spell your name first.
My name is Sofia Jenkins Nieto, Sofia. Jenkins is Jenkins.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
I'll start your 3 minutes.
Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. My name is Sofia Jenkins Nieto. I moved to Albuquerque for college and have built my life here ever since. As a young person, I always feel the weight of the climate crisis pressing on my generation, causing uncertainty over our future. But it's not just the existential threat of a warming planet. It's also about toxic exposure that we didn't ask for, that we are not even being told about. PFAS are called forever chemicals for a reason. They persist in our environment, accumulating in water, soil, and ultimately our bodies. These chemicals are toxic even in tiny amounts and have been linked to cancers, thyroid disease, reproductive toxicity, and immune dysfunction. As a young woman, this isn't just an abstract danger. It's deeply personal. The threat of PFAS means facing increased cancer risks, potential harm to fertility and pregnancy, and a legacy of health crises will pass down if nothing changes. Here in New Mexico, over 80% of our public water comes from our groundwater, making our communities especially vulnerable to contamination. When oil and gas companies inject PFAS underground, on top of the leaks, spills, and fracking wastewater mishandling they're already responsible for, They're putting every one of us at risk. Worse yet, they hide behind trade secrets, refusing to disclose the chemicals they use. This lack of transparency leaves our families, children, and neighbors unknowingly exposed to a toxic stew with no recourse for protection. In New Mexico, we average around 4 spills of fracking wastewater per day. And without adequate treatment and regulation, these chemicals can seep into our groundwater, polluting what we drink and rely on to live. It's unacceptable. The very least these companies can do is ensure that PFAS isn't among the substances they're releasing when these inevitable spills occur. PFAS isn't a hypothetical risk. Studies show younger generations are already experiencing higher cancer rates. This isn't just an issue for tomorrow, it's harming us today. We need a ban on PFAS use in oil and gas operations. We need full disclosure of chemicals used. We need enforcement, transparency, and accountability. I'm calling on the Commission to act for our health, our environment, and our future by passing this rule. We can't afford to wait any longer. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jenkins Nieto. Anyone else? State and spell your name first.
Felicia Guillen, F-E-L-E-E-C-I-A. Last name Guillen.
Thank you. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
Thank you. I'll start your 3 minutes.
Thank you so much for allowing me to speak today. I was originally going to give my comment in Spanish, but because I woke up a little tired today, I decided not to. Frankly, it would have been more dramatic in Spanish, but that's okay. My name is Felicia Guillen. I am a student at the University of New Mexico studying business administration and sustainability studies. I grew up in Edgewood, New Mexico, where our water has always been precious and scarce. Today, I am here because our water faces a new dangerous threat: contamination from PFAS chemicals. As a young person, I often feel overwhelmed by the constant battles we need to fight against the oil and gas industry. Why do we have to work so hard to protect our natural resources? Why must we fight so hard for what should be a basic human right: clean water? PFAS chemicals are extremely toxic, even in small amounts, and they pose a real danger to our environment. In New Mexico, 80% of our drinking water comes from underground. This water is now at risk. Being exposed to these chemicals can cause cancer and other serious health problems, especially for our young people and for our elders. It is not fair that the oil and gas industry, to destroy our land, to pollute our water, and to put our health at the risk just for their own economic gain. We are tired of being treated like a sacrifice zone, a dumping ground where companies think they can do whatever they want with our land. Companies should not be allowed to hide what they are putting into our land. We need to know what chemicals are being used. We need to protect our land and our water for everyone's sake. So I ask that the Commission ban the use of PFAS in oil and gas operations, and to make sure companies tell us what chemicals they are using. Our communities, our health, and our very way of life are under threat. As someone who has seen the effects of water scarcity firsthand, from watching local farmers struggle and community wells run dry, I cannot stress enough the urgency to take decisive action. The safety and security of our water supply are ultimately non-negotiable. We cannot let our health and our future be put in danger. Thank you so much for listening to me today. Please make the right decision to protect all of us in New Mexico.
Thank you, Ms. Guillen. Next. If you would please state and spell your name.
Yes, my name is Enedith Lopez. You spell it as ENNEDITH
Thank you. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
I'll start your 3 minutes.
My name is Enedith Lopez, and I am the Policy Campaign Manager at Youth United for Climate Crisis Action, also known as YUCCA. We are led by young Indigenous and people of color, which has thousands of supporters across the state. We are deeply committed to fighting for environmental justice. I am here today to urge you to support Wild Earth Guardians and New Energy Economy's petition to ban the use of PFAS on the oil field and ensure the disclosure of the industry's proprietary chemical components to the public. In New Mexico, we face a series of emergencies because of environmental pollution and the climate crisis. We see the imbalance between the state prioritizing a polluting industry, which is known to cause the climate crisis, over the public health in our communities and protecting the sacred lands that are sacred to Indigenous communities. Families and entire communities must endure the extremes of the climate crisis, from losing energy and power due to an unexpected record-breaking snowstorm in northern New Mexico to the flooding of a landlocked city like Roswell due to a record-breaking rainfall, all within 1 month. If we continue to fail to hold industry accountable for their crimes against our environment and our communities, we will continue to see these crises time and time again. This petition offers a step towards safeguarding our land, air, and water. New Mexico's groundwater accounts for 80% of our drinking resources. PFAS poses the risk of groundwater contamination, which we all know is a scarce resource due to the mega drought that I've had to endure for my entire existence. It is outrageous for the industry to sit here and claim that PFAS are not intentionally used in fracking in New Mexico, when we know from the Physicians of Social Responsibility's report of its use in 2022. Regardless of its intentional use or not, the irreversible harm still exists and will continue to exist for generations. It is unjust and inhumane to expect communities in proximity to these fracking, drilling, and maintenance operations to endure this level of toxicity. As we know, PFAS exposure over a long period of time can guarantee the development of cancers, reproductive hazards, and thyroid disease. Environmental racism and climate inaction can no longer be accepted as a practice and the norm for the sake of the economy or for the sake of one single industry over thousands and millions of people. Ensuring the protection of our health and water resources can ensure to deliver justice for our communities who have suffered so much for generations. We bear a duty to protect our water, which is sacred, precious, and irreplaceable. New Mexico is positioned to do just that by banning PFAS in oil and gas operations and ensuring the disclosure of its proprietary chemical components to the public. Lastly, I really do want to address the language issue. I am a Latina woman, and I proactively work with my community to inform them of what's going on. And I fail to understand as how the commission can expect for a monolingual Spanish speaker to navigate the website on their own, find the times, the dates, the email to come to this commission hearing, and still not have that available in Spanish. It is the responsibility of the state for you to use your resources to ensure that this is equitably accessible to our communities across the entire week. It is not acceptable to only allocate one single day to monolingual speakers. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lopez. Are there any other commenters? If you would please state and spell your name.
Zephyr Jaramillo, ZEPHYR JARAMILLO.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
Thank you. I'll start your 3 minutes.
Good morning. My name is Zephyr Jaramillo, and I come from the pueblos of Isleta and San Felipe. In our communities, we honor the longstanding tradition of safeguarding our lands and waters. We have witnessed the insidious effects of pollution from oil and gas extraction, effects that often remain hidden. One of the most harmful and covert threats is the use of PFAS chemicals. The April 2023 report from Physicians for Social Responsibility documented the use of PFAS, including PTFE, in New Mexico oil and gas wells. This report highlighted not only confirmed use across multiple counties, but the lack of comprehensive disclosure due to industry reliance on trade secrets. This means that the true extent of PFAS contamination remains concealed, putting our communities at profound risk. PFAS persists in the environment, accumulating in water and within our bodies over time. This persistence makes their use by the oil and gas industry particularly dangerous. Here in New Mexico, where over 80% of our public water supply comes from the groundwater, the stakes could not be higher. The industry's routine injection of PFAS-containing materials underground on top of daily spills and leaks of fracking wastewater endangers our health and our precious water resources. Unlike other sources of PFAS, oil and gas operators inject these chemicals directly into the earth, where they can infiltrate and contaminate aquifers. Industry representatives claim that PFAS is not intentionally used in fracking here, but the evidence tells a different story. The Physicians for Social Responsibility report documented PFAS use and pointed out that due to limited disclosure requirements, we cannot know their full extent of their use or their impact. Industry spokespeople hide behind quote-unquote trade secrets to obscure critical information, claiming transparency while keeping New Mexicans in the dark. It is a dangerous distraction to argue that PFAS contamination is ubiquitous. While PFAS contamination is indeed a widespread issue, the oil and gas industry's unique role in injecting these chemicals underground makes it a special threat. This poses a direct risk to our state's groundwater, and yet our current regulations only require partial chemical disclosure, leaving us vulnerable. We have the right to know what chemicals are being used in our water and land. Our families deserve protection, and healthcare providers need access to chemical information to respond to exposure incidents. This is about transparency, accountability, and ending a toxic legacy that puts all of us at risk. Ban PFAS in oil and gas operations, demand full chemical disclosure, and protect our water, our health, and our future.
Thank you, Ms. Jaramillo. Is there another commenter? You would state and spell your name, please.
It's going to be Jonathan, Jonathan, and then Juarez, Juarez.
Thank you. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
I'll start your 3 minutes.
Good morning, commissioners. My name is Jonathan Juarez. I'm from the pueblos of Laguna and Isleta, but I've grown up in Albuquerque my entire life as a result of the contamination and environmental racism left behind by the Jackpile uranium mine, which is less than a mile from the village that my family has called home for thousands of years, where our culture and traditions have evolved with the land. To Pueblo people, water is more than life-giving. It is sacred. It connects us to our ancestors and to future generations. It also plays vital roles in our ceremonies, and we've always understood it as our relative, not a commodity. This belief in the sanctity of water is shared by New Mexicans from all walks of life and across political spectrums. From chili farmers down in Hatch who rely on the acequias to irrigate their fields, to the families in Albuquerque's South Valley who are fighting tirelessly to preserve the Rio Grande for their children and grandchildren. In a desert region like ours, we all understand the interdependent role that water plays. And yet, toxic fracking waste is spilling onto our lands at an unprecedented rate. It contaminates sacred lands, threatens the health and livelihoods of thousands, and is treated as though it can simply be hidden or ignored. These spills, which are happening at a rate of at least 4 times a day according to the industry's own self-reporting statistics, contain dangerous levels of PFAS forever chemicals, adding another layer of harm to our water, our air, and our bodies. PFAS do not break down, they accumulate. They seep into our ecosystems, they move through our livestock and into the food we eat, and they even pass from parents to their children. It's a toxic cycle that ripples through generations. And this contamination is not just an emergency, it's a generational threat. PFAS endangers not only those of us here now, but also our children and their children. Now, as a Pueblo person, my elders have taught me that our decisions today must reflect the needs of 7 generations to come. And that if we're making those choices with future generations in mind, then our children's children will have clean air to breathe and water to drink. And there is nothing more important than that, certainly not profits. The oil and gas industry is willing to sacrifice New Mexico's future, treating our people and our lands as disposable. How dare they poison our water, our air, and our connection to our homelands, and then attempt to hide behind trade secrets to justify their actions. They profit while communities suffer. Our health declines, and our lands are left barren. Remember that while the fossil fuel industry can finance pipelines stretching hundreds of miles and extracting billions of dollars from communities in northwestern New Mexico, those same communities, primarily on the Navajo Nation, still lack basic access to running water and electricity. The least that our government and state agencies can do is protect us from these toxic chemicals. Banning PFAS in oil and gas isn't just harm reduction, it's essential.
Please wrap up, Mr. Juarez.
So I call on you to act. Please ban PFAS in oil and gas operations, demand full chemical disclosure, and enforce real protections. We cannot afford to keep sacrificing our health, our families, or our lands for an industry that profits while we suffer. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Juarez. All right, we'll take a few more commenters. We will take a break soon, but we will move through all commenters present online or in the room before we turn to the technical case. If you would state and spell your name, please.
Rafe, R-A-I-F-E, Juarez, J-U-A-R-E-Z.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
I'll start your 3 minutes.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Rafe Juarez, and I am a U.S. Army veteran. I served my country to protect our people, our lands, and our future. But here at home, I see a new battle, a fight against toxic contamination that endangers everything I thought I was fighting to defend. As a veteran, I know firsthand how vital clean water, fresh air, and healthy land are, not just for survival, but for resilience and strength. And yet right here in New Mexico, those basic rights are under attack. PFAS contamination, those so-called forever chemicals, is spreading through our communities, leaching into the water, the soil, and the bodies of our people. These chemicals don't just disappear, they accumulate and leave a lasting impact. It's as if we're in a perpetual war zone, only this time the enemy is pollution and the casualties are our health, our environment, and our future. PFAS contamination is a betrayal to every New Mexican. These chemicals, used recklessly by the oil and gas industry, are poisoning the same lands and waters we veterans swore to protect. Each spill, each leak, each trade secret these companies hide behind, these are the scars that they leave on our homeland. They get rich off of our resources, but they leave the damage behind for us to clean up, for our families to suffer through. The government has a duty here. When I served, we learned the value of integrity, of taking responsibility. It's time our government holds the oil and gas industry to the same standard. We can't let them leave behind a legacy of poison in the name of profit. Every day we wait, the contamination spreads further, embedding itself deeper into our lands, our food, our families. I'm asking you to do your duty to protect the people of New Mexico, ban PFAS and oil and gas operations, demand full transparency from the industry, enforce the protections that can spare our communities from this slow-moving disaster. We veterans were willing to put our lives on the line for this country. The least our leaders can do is ensure our families aren't left to suffer the fallout from corporate greed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Juarez. Would you state and spell your name, please?
Stephanie Aguirre, Stephanie Stevany. Aguirre, it's Aguirre.
Thank you. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. I'll start your 3 minutes.
I would like to say it in Spanish.
We don't have an interpreter at this point. I believe we will have an interpreter Friday at the Friday public comment session. Stephanie, is that something you're able to confirm? Sorry, Stephanie, you're Stephanie. Sheila, is that something you're able to confirm at this time?
It hasn't been completely confirmed. That is the time that we're working with.
Okay.
I
So-
just don't have another time to come and say it, but I have it written in Spanish and English.
That's terrific. That would be my plan B, frankly. If you give it to us, we will have it interpreted for the commission before they deliberate.
Okay.
Okay.
Or may I say a suggestion?
Yes,
I
yes,
have
you may.
someone that can say it, can read it with me.
Okay,
and
that's
can
fine.
interpret it
That's
for you.
fine. Do it however you'd like.
Thank you. Buenos días, mi nombre es Stephanie Aguirre, soy una residente de Santa Fe y actualmente vivo dentro de los límites de la ciudad.
My name is Devani Aguirre. I'm a resident of Santa Fe and I currently reside within the city limits.
Soy madre de 4 hijos menores de edad. Primero, me gustaría agradecer por darnos la oportunidad de expresarnos el día de hoy.
I'm a mother of 4 kids under the age of 18. I would like to thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak today.
Algo que me gustaría mencionar que es decepcionante es que los intérpretes no fueron proveídos en esta junta para las personas que hablan español.
One unfortunate thing I would like to mention is that interpreters were not provided for this meeting.
Este es un factor muy importante porque queremos ser escuchados y esto también incluye a las personas de habla hispana que son partes de la comunidad y que ellos y sus familias pueden estar en riesgo también.
This is important because we want to be heard, and this includes our Spanish-speaking communities because they and their families are at risk as well.
Habiendo dicho esto, me gustaría proceder.
I would like to proceed with my speech.
Hoy me gustaría arrojar luz sobre una cuestión medioambiental y de salud pública que trae preocupación y ha ido ganando más atención. Me refiero a PFAS.
Today, I would like to shed light on an environmental and public health concern that has been increasingly gaining attention, PFAS or per and polyfluoroalkyl substances.
Estos son unos grupos de químicos hechos por el hombre que han sido usados por varias industrias alrededor del mundo desde 1940.
These are a group of man-made chemicals that have been used in various industries around the world since the 1940s.
PFAS puede ser encontrado en una amplia gama de productos de consumo, como utensilios de cocina, antiadherentes, ropa repelente de agua, tejidos resistentes a las manchas y algunas espumas contra incendios, pero también
PFAS are found in a wide range of consumer products such as nonstick cookware, water-repellent clothing, stain-resistant fabrics, and some firefighting foam.
uno de los aspectos más preocupantes de PFAS es la persistencia en el medio ambiente y en el cuerpo humano.
One of the most concerning aspects of PFAS is their persistence in the environment and in the human body.
Estos químicos no se descomponen fácilmente, es así como adquirió el apodo de químicos eternos.
These chemicals do not break down easily, earning them the nickname of forever chemicals.
Como resultado, PFAS se puede acumular con el tiempo, lo que lleva a posibles efectos adversos para la salud.
As a result, PFAS can accumulate over time, leading to potential adverse health effects.
Estudios han relacionado la exposición de PFAS con varios problemas de salud, incluyendo daño al hígado, enfermedad de tiroides, la disminución de fertilidad, colesterol alto, obesidad, supresión hormonal y hasta el cáncer.
Studies have linked PFAS exposure to various health problems, including liver damage, thyroid disease, decreased fertility, high cholesterol, obesity, hormone suppression, and even cancer.
El uso generalizado de PFAS ha conducido a la contaminación de los recursos de agua, suelo y aire.
The widespread use of PFAS has led to contamination of water resources, soil, and air.
Las comunidades cercanas a instalaciones de fabricación, bases militares y las áreas donde espumas contra incendios han sido usadas están particularmente en riesgo.
Communities near manufacturing facilities, military bases, and areas where firefighting foam has been used are particularly at risk.
A medida que nos volvemos más conscientes de los peligros presentes por PFAS, es crucial que que tomemos acción para reducir la exposición y mitigar su impacto.
As we become more aware of the dangers posed by PFAS, it is crucial to take action to reduce exposure and mitigate their impact.
Esto incluye abogar por unas regulaciones más estrictas en el uso de PFAS, y esto lo podemos hacer apoyando la investigación para alternativas más seguras y asegurando la limpieza adecuada de los lugares contaminados.
This includes advocating for stricter regulations on the use of PFAS, supporting research into safer alternatives, and ensuring proper cleanup of contaminated sites.
En conclusión, abordando el tema de PFAS no se trata solo de proteger el medio ambiente, sino también se trata de salvaguardar la salud pública.
In conclusion, addressing the issue of PFAS is not just about protecting the environment, but also about safeguarding public health.
Esto se puede lograr al trabajar juntos. Podemos impulsar los cambios necesarios para reducir la presencia de estos químicos nocivos en nuestras vidas y crear un futuro más seguro y saludable para todos. Muchas gracias por su tiempo.
By working together, we can push for the necessary changes to reduce the presence of these harmful chemicals in our lives and create a safer, healthier future for all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Aguirre and ma'am. All right, we need a break. The commission's been going since 9 o'clock. It's 10:45. Let's return at 11.
Hi, I just wanted to tell anyone that just came on, if you're waiting for public comment, they just went on break. So there'll just be a short break and then they'll come back on to
Thank you for
continue.
letting us know that.
I know, I
wondering
don't know why they can't let you know that themselves, but I saw that you came on and I wanted to let you know that. So I think they'll resume in like 10 minutes or so.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Oh, testing. I'll have to, that's better.
We are back from the break, and Mr. Rubin has requested an opportunity to make a statement.
Thank you, Madam Hearing Officer. Members of the commission, and also for the benefit of the parties, clearly trade secrets is going to be something that's going to be hotly contested, both factually and perhaps legally. I just wanted to give the parties the benefit of my initial thinking, and I do apologize if this is something the parties have already anticipated in their exhibits, which I have not sorted through yet. But obviously the Uniform Trade Secrets Act is a constraint on what can be passed by rule. However, I do note that there is a provision under 74-615, which relates to water quality, which may or may not act as an exception to trade secrets to the extent they have been disclosed as part of a Water Quality Control Commission meeting. And I read that when relevant, or as I quote, under 74-615A3, when relevant in any proceeding pursuant to the Water Quality Act or the Federal Act. There is an equivalent statute relating to air quality and trade secrets. I do not know how this will ultimately sort out, but to the extent the parties want to account for that possibility in their presentations, as I know there has been some discussion of PFAS within the water quality context, it might be helpful to know that ahead of time. Thank you. And with that, I turn it back over to our capable hearing examiner.
Thank you, Mr. Rubin. We are back after a break, and we will continue accepting, sorry?
Point of.
Oh, very sorry, Mr. Chair. Thank you. So the chair did invite me to proceed regardless of whether he was on the dais. We had that conversation earlier this morning. All right, we're going to continue to accept public comment, both in the room and on the platform. Let me ask if there's anyone else in the room who would like to offer public comment during this session. There will be lots of other opportunities. All right, if you would come up one at a time, please. Again, you have 3 minutes. I will ask you to state and spell your name, and I will ask you if you swear or affirm to tell the truth. You would state and spell your name.
My name is Brianna Revere, BriannaRevire.
And do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
Thank you. I'll start your 3 minutes.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Brianna Revere. I am here to express my deep concern regarding the presence of PFAS in water, air, and healthcare systems of New Mexico. These toxic chemicals, known as forever chemicals, due to their ability to persist in the environment and the human body for decades, are being detected at alarming levels in various parts of our state. Prolonged exposure to PFAS is directly linked to a wide range of adverse health effects in the New Mexican residents, who are already facing public health challenges due to poverty, limited access to healthcare, and other social inequities. The impact of health of the New Mexican residents due to PFAS has proven to be highly harmful to human health, even at low levels of exposure. In particular, scientific studies have shown that these chemicals can cause the following health problems in people who have been exposed: cancer, hormonal and reproductive disorders, immune system damage, metabolic disorders, impact on child development. In Santa Fe, as many other areas in New Mexico, PFAS contamination is beginning to have a serious impact on community health. The city, which relies heavily on groundwater sources and local springs, has seen an increasing levels of PFAS in drinking water in some areas, putting the health of thousands of residents at risk. The people of Santa Fe, especially those living near industrial areas or military bases, where these toxic chemicals have historically been used, are particularly exposed to these harmful compounds. Additionally, growing concerns about health effects such as increased respiratory diseases, endocrine disorders, and reproductive health problems are disproportionately affecting young families and the elderly. In Santa Fe, where public health already faces challenges due to poverty and limited access to healthcare, exposure to PFAS only worsens the situation, placing an even greater burden on local healthcare systems and exposing vulnerable communities to long-term consequences. The presence of PFAS in drinking water, air, and soil of New Mexico is a serious and growing threat to the health of our residents, especially those in rural and marginalized communities who are the most vulnerable to this contamination. It is urgent that authorities take decisive action to reduce and eliminate PFAS levels in our state. That stricter policies be implemented for PFAS regulation, that water quality, air pollution, and laws be strengthened, and that further scientific research can be conducted to understand the long-term effects of these compounds on human health and the environment. Additionally, it is essential that New Mexican residents receive clear and accessible information about the risks associated with PFAS, as well as resources for testing and protecting their health. I urge immediate action to protect the health and well-being of future generations. PFAS can no longer be allowed to affect New Mexican communities. It is our responsibility as a society to take swift action to address this issue. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Revere. Next. Please state and spell your name.
My name is Michael Dolce, Michael-Dolce.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
Thank you. I'll start your 3 minutes.
Thank you for allowing me to speak with you today. As a longtime educator, my entire focus of my career has been the future, and I have to ask, what are we doing? What are we doing to our planet and to our children? 87% of our water is groundwater. The EPA warns that fracking chemicals can contaminate this water through spills, faulty casings, or direct injection. With New Mexico's water already strained by drought and climate challenges, protecting it from toxins like PFAS is essential. What are we doing? I don't want to sound like a broken record. A lot of people have talked about the health problems that are associated with PFAS. I will simply say that no level of exposure to these chemicals can be considered safe. What are we doing? Oil and gas companies won't prevent contamination and won't disclose the chemicals they use, citing trade secrets. Well, transparency about ingredients is standard in other industries, food, medicine, cleaners, so people can make informed health choices. The same should apply to oil and gas. We have a right to know what chemicals are injected into our land and our very precious water. What are we doing? It's simple. Oil and gas companies override the will of people through lobbying, political influence, and legal exemptions that prioritize industry interests over public health and environmental protection. Their money silences my voice and the voice of others like me. And what do they think they're doing? Acting like collective psychopaths, corporations act without empathy. They lie, manipulate, evade accountability, and pursue profit at any cost. Don't their leaders consider the world they're leaving for their own children, let alone people like us? What are we doing when profit is prioritized over ethics and social responsibility? We have to stop allowing it. I urge the Oil Conservation Commission to take bold action by prohibiting PFAS in oil and gas operations and by requiring full disclosure of chemicals used in downhole operations. Safeguard the future of New Mexico's water supply, essential to the sustainability of life for ourselves and future generations. I look at the students I've taught over the years, and I want to promise them a future. But year after year, as we despoil our land and our water, I'm not even sure they're gonna have one. Please hear us on this matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dolce. Next. Please state and spell your name.
Good morning. My name is Miriam, Miriam. Luevano, Luevano.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. I'll start your 3 minutes.
Thank you for the opportunity, but I prefer doing it in Spanish. I don't know if you have interpreter here to help me.
I believe we may have an interpreter Friday morning.
I can't come in Friday because I need to work. Can you tell me? Sure.
All right. Thank you very much for your assistance, ma'am.
Mi nombre es Miriam Luébano. Soy madre de 3 hijos, residente de Santa Fe y parte de Erker.
My name is Miriam Luevano. I'm a mother of 3 children, resident of Santa Fe and part of EarthCare.
Entiendo de manera profunda la necesidad de proteger nuestra salud y medio ambiente.
I understand the profound importance of the necessity to protect our health and environment.
Mi hijo menor, quien padece de asma y alergias, es especialmente vulnerable a las contaminantes ambientales.
My youngest son, who suffers from asthma and allergies, is especially vulnerable to the environmental contaminants.
La exposición a químicos tóxicos como PFAS aumenta los riesgos de salud para personas con condiciones respiratorias y alérgicas.
The exposure to toxic chemicals like PFAS further heightens our risk, the risk of our health for people who struggle with respiratory conditions and allergies.
Consciente de los efectos devastadores que estos químicos eternos tienen sobre nuestra salud y medio ambiente, me uno a la petición para regular y prohibir su uso en las operaciones de petróleo y gas en Nuevo México.
Conscious of the devastating effects of these forever chemicals within our environment and our health, I join in the petition to regulate and prohibit the use of PFAS in operations of oil and gas in New Mexico.
Cada día dependemos del agua limpia y del aire puro para la salud de nuestras familias.
Every day we depend on clean water and clean air for the health of our families.
Sin embargo, PFAS representa una amenaza real para ambos recursos.
Without a doubt, PFAS represents a real threat for various resources.
Estos químicos que no se degradan en el medio ambiente contaminan el agua subterránea y la superficie, de las cuales el 80% del agua potable de nuestro estado proviene.
These chemicals, which do not degrade easy in the environment, contaminate our groundwater and our surface water, in which 80% of our drinking water of our state comes from.
No se puede ignorar que la exposición prolongada de PFAS ha sido vinculada a graves problemas de salud como cáncer, problemas de tiroides y toxicidad reproductiva.
Without a doubt, we cannot ignore the exposure to prolonged exposure PFAS has led to a series of problems of the health, such as cancer, problems of the thyroid, and reproductive toxicity.
En un momento en el que las protecciones ambientales a nivel federal están en riesgo, es crucial que tomemos medidas a nivel estatal para proteger nuestras comunidades.
In a moment where federal environmental protections are at risk, it is crucial that we take the necessary measures at a state level to protect our communities.
No podemos permitir que las industrias continúen contaminando nuestra agua y aire bajo el pretexto de secretos comerciales.
We cannot continue to permit for industries to continue to contaminate our water and our air under the pretext of trade secrets.
La falta de transparencia y regulación nos deja expuestos a químicos peligrosos sin ni siquiera saber dónde y cuándo están siendo inyectados en nuestro suelo.
The lack of transparency and regulation leaves us exposed to dangerous chemicals without knowing where or when these chemicals are being injected into our ground.
Nuestros recursos son limitados y preciosos, y es nuestra responsabilidad protegerlos para las generaciones futuras. No podemos permitir que intereses corporativos pongan en peligro la salud y el futuro de nuestros hijos.
Our resources are limited and precious, and it is our responsibility to protect it for the future generations. We cannot allow for the interests of corporations to put our health at risk and the future of our children at risk.
Gracias por escuchar mi testimonio y por considerar la importancia de implementar una regulación estricta y una prohibición de PFAS en nuestras operaciones de petróleo y gas.
Thank you for listening to my testimony and for taking into consideration the importance of implementing strict regulations and a prohibition of the use of PFAS in oil and gas operations.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you, ma'am, for your assistance. Are there any other public commenters?
Morning.
Good morning. If you would state and spell your name, please.
My name is Megan Taros, Megantaros.
And do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, I do.
I'll start your 3 minutes.
So I prefer to give my comment in Spanish, but I hear you don't have an interpreter till Friday, so I found my own accommodation.
Okay, thank you very much.
Buenos días, miembros de la comisión. Me llamo Megan Taros y soy representativa de Poder Familiar.
Good morning, members of the commission. My name is Megan Taros, and I am a representative with Poder Familiar.
Hoy te insisto que votes para poner al fin de uso de PFAS en Nuevo México. Los PFAS son químicos extremadamente tóxicos que destruyen ecosistemas enteros y son peligrosos hasta en cantidades muy bajas.
I'm urging you today to vote to end the use of PFAS in New Mexico. PFAS are highly toxic chemicals that destroy entire ecosystems and are dangerous at any level.
El uso de PFAS corre el riesgo de contaminar aguas superficiales y subterráneas, resultando en elevadas incidencias de cáncer de riñón, enfermedad de la tiroides y toxicidad reproductiva y del desarrollo.
The use of PFAS risks contaminating our surface and groundwater, leading to higher incidences of kidney cancer, thyroid disease, and reproductive and developmental toxicity.
En un estado donde 87% del suministro público de agua es subterráneo, es inaceptable jugar con las vidas humanas, especialmente cuando protegemos ciertas industrias de la responsabilidad.
In a state where 87% of the public's water supply comes from groundwater, it is unconscionable to gamble with people's lives, especially with the lack of disclosure that shields industries from accountability.
Es reprensible que nuestras comunidades ni siquiera pueden saber dónde estas industrias están inyectando PFAS o qué tipos que están usando.
It is reprehensible that our communities are not even allowed to know where PFAS are being injected or what types are being used.
Esto les roba la capacidad de saber si su salud está en riesgo y protegerse de ese daño. Ya hemos visto los efectos de estos químicos peligrosos desde la Cieneguilla hasta Clovis, donde los residentes están enfermos debido a PFAS y no pueden tomar el agua del grifo.
This robs them of their right to know if their health is being endangered and to protect themselves from that harm. We have already seen the effects of these dangerous chemicals from La Cieneguilla to Clovis, where residents have been sickened and cannot drink their tap water.
Además, en Clovis tuvieron que aplicarles la eutanasia a unas vacas que fueron envenenados por estos químicos. Eso indica que PFAS puede dañar nuestros alimentos también.
Also in Clovis, several cows had to be euthanized due to being poisoned with PFAS. This shows that PFAS can damage our food and food systems.
No podemos dejar de que continúe esta tendencia peligrosa en nuestro estado y por eso te pido que votes para prohibir el uso de PFAS. Muchas gracias.
We cannot allow this to continue a dangerous trend around our state, and that is why I urge you to ban the use of PFAS. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you, ma'am, for your assistance. Are there others who would like to offer? See a gentleman. You would state and spell your name for the record.
Miguel Acosta, Miguel. Acosta, Acosta.
Miguel Acosta, Miguel Acosta.
Thank you. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Sí.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. Go ahead.
Buenos días, miembros de la comisión. Mi nombre es Miguel Acosta y soy director de Poder Familiar y soy residente aquí de Santa Fe. Les suplico a los miembros de la Comisión de Conservación del Petróleo que apoyen la petición de reglamentación propuesta.
Good morning, Commission members. My name is Miguel Acosta. I'm the Director for the Familiar, and I'm from Santa Fe, New Mexico. I urge the members of the Oil Conservation Commission to support the proposed rulemaking petition.
Vivo y trabajo en un área de Santa Fe que experimentó los peores impactos de COVID en términos de cantidad de infecciones, complicaciones a largo plazo y muertes.
I live and work in an area of Santa Fe that experienced the worst impacts of COVID in terms of the number of infections, long-term complications, and deaths.
Descubrimos que nuestra comunidad también tenía las tasas más altas de problemas de salud preexistentes y las tasas más bajas de seguro médico y acceso a atención médica.
We found out that our community also had the highest rates of pre-existing health challenges and the lowest rates of health insurance and access to health care.
Recientemente descubrimos que nuestras comunidades también están expuestas a las PFAS.
We recently found out that our communities are also being exposed to PFAS.
Nos dijeron que fue por accidente.
We were told it was by accident.
Nuestros vecinos son principalmente personas de color y de bajos ingresos y por eso estoy aquí.
Our neighbors are primarily low income and people of color, and that's why I'm here.
Por todo Nuevo México, las personas con mayor probabilidad de verse afectadas por la contaminación con PFAS son las personas pobres de color.
Across New Mexico, those most likely to be impacted by PFAS contamination are poor people of color.
Esto es especialmente cierto en los sitios de producción de petróleo y sus alrededores, donde las PFAS se inyectan en el suelo no por accidente, sino como práctica estándar.
This is especially true in and around oil production sites where PFAS are injected into the ground, not by accident, but as standard practice.
Ustedes pueden cambiar eso.
You can change that.
Estas comunidades también tienen grandes problemas de salud preexistentes y tasas de seguro médico más bajas.
These communities also have high pre-existing health challenges and lower health insurance rates.
Las investigaciones muestran claramente que estos impactos acumulativos en las comunidades conducen a tasas más altas de varios tipos de cáncer, afectan el desarrollo infantil, afectan la esperanza de vida, contaminan las fuentes de agua, matan el ganado y destruyen los cultivos.
Research shows clearly that these cumulative impacts on communities lead to higher rates of several types of cancer, affect childhood development, impact life expectancy, contaminate water sources, kill livestock, and destroy crops.
Ustedes pueden cambiar eso.
You can change that.
Nuevo México ha sido una zona de sacrificio durante décadas.
New Mexico has been a sacrifice zone for decades.
Las industrias nuclear, minera, agrícola, corporativa y química han contaminado el agua, destruido hábitats y matado personas.
Nuclear, mining, corporate farming, and chemical industries have contaminated water, destroyed habitats, and killed people.
Sigue sucediendo y ahora se ha introducido en nuestra tierra una fuente evitable de contaminación y muerte.
It's still happening, and now a preventable source of contamination and death has been introduced to our land.
Ustedes pueden cambiar eso.
You can change that.
¿Tienen el poder de decidir a favor de la vida y de las personas?
You have the power to decide in favor of people's lives
¿Y de un medio ambiente sano?
and a healthy environment,
¿O a favor de la muerte y la destrucción en nombre de las ganancias?
or in support of death and destruction in the name of profits.
Les suplico a todos a que apoyen la petición de reglamentación propuesta y brinden a nuestros niños un futuro mejor.
I urge you all to support the proposed rulemaking petition and give our children a better future.
Salud. También les pido que proporcionen interpretación y traducción adecuadas según lo exige la Constitución de Nuevo México, la Ley de Derechos Civiles de 1964 y el Tratado de Guadalupe Hidalgo. Están violando las tres.
I also urge you to provide appropriate interpretation and translation as required by the New Mexico Constitution, the Civil Rights Act of 1964, and the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo.
Gracias por su atención y gracias a los jóvenes de Yaca que defienden nuestras comunidades.
Thank you, and thank you for the youth of Yucca for defending our community.
Thank you very much, Mr. Acosta and ma'am. Are there other public commenters? Other public commenters? Sir, in the green jacket. You would state and spell your name first.
Good morning. My name is Mick Nickel, Micknickel. FEL.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'll start your 3 minutes.
Good morning. All Earth citizens, here and everywhere else, are suffering from Stockholm Syndrome of human lies from corporate crude capitalism and its toxic stream of 6,000 products. The data are everywhere. Black Gold supplies a line of more or less 350,000 spin-off toxins, most unstudied and unregulated, including 15,000 PFAS, all deemed health hazards. How are dominant lies delivered? Propaganda via manipulative advertising, pandering to citizens' fears, needs, and wants. Exaggeration and distortion, denial or obfuscation, downplaying or misdirecting, projection leading to transference, intimidation, gaslighting, newspeak, and doublethink. The tools of this delivery are bribery, extortion, red herrings, false flags, and bullying. The populace, stressed out, dumbed down, drugged up, malnourished, and poisoned. Why the lies? Well, they work. Note this year's electioneering. Oil and gas create massive financial reward, power, and influence. The reaping of rewards while avoiding punishments. Keeping secrets, avoiding laws, rules, distrust, embarrassment, shame, guilt, and condemnation from us. To maintain all this requires creating illusions, fantasies, imagery that hide mistakes, errors, bad behaviors, and fear of failure with telling more lies. Lies are terrorist acts, more addictive than fentanyl, coke, tobacco, or booze. Lies destroy trust. They create chaos, and they promote nihilistic violence. Failure is not an option, so laissez-faire. Anything goes until it does not. All this lying puts you and the rest of us in the crosshairs. Without black goo, capitalism would be just another Chamber of Commerce focus group. We are here for you. Troubled, angry, and seasoned citizens from all walks who have struggled through life's challenges to discover the values and complexities of civic, personal, professional, and planetary responsibility. Responsibility is our birthright. It reveals respect, fosters courage, dignity, strength, honor, and humility. This respect reveals truth, creates trust, and powers resolve to discover and cultivate wisdom, leading to reverence for life and earth as our home and its gifts of peace and compassion. We must pass this rule now and much more to put our fingers in the toxin-leaking dam of crude capital and drive our steel-toed boot in this toxic door. Reverse and revolutionize this cancerous culture now, not somewhere down the yellow brick road of intimidating fantasies. Lies work until they do not. Then things fall apart. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nickel. Are there any other commenters in the room? I do see 2 more on the platform, but if there's someone else in the room, come on up, sir, in the gray. If you would state and spell your name, please.
My name is Stephen Meyer, Stephenmeyer. I live in Taos, New Mexico.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
All right, I'll start your 3 minutes.
I don't think I'll need 3 minutes. I'm a member of Renewable Taos, which is an advocacy group in Taos County. And I came here just to really understand what was going on with PFAS. And the issue that I would like you to consider is the trade secrets issue related to what the fracking fluid comprises. And if we do nothing more than just have people tell us what is in this fluid and not hide behind trade secrets, then I think we'll have a clearer path to fix many of the problems that are occurring. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Meyer. Anyone else in the room before I go back to the platform, ma'am? If you would state and spell your name.
Michaela Trujillo, Mykayla.
Okay, and do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
I'll start your 3 minutes.
Okay. I'm here representing Glamilpa, which is a community garden and food justice organization here in Santa Fe. And I am here to express my concern about the PFAS use, especially as it's considered a trade secret or lack of clarity that's expected for these companies to express to the people who live here in Santa Fe and New Mexico. It's not a trade secret, it's a public health crisis. And more than that, it's an environmental justice crisis. Most of our water coming from groundwater here in New Mexico is directly impacted by the use of these chemicals. So it affects every single person who drinks water, as well as every single organism that uses water, which is all of life. It's in our food, it's in our bodies. There's not someone who's not affected or above this decision to keep it a secret from the public. And so this decision to allow the secrecy to continue will affect not only us right now, but for future generations and past, the terms that we serve in the policies that we get to control. And I would also like to point out that I've been to a few public hearings and there hasn't been a lot of access in terms of language interpretation, and a lot of my coworkers have a lot of very valid points, as a lot of New Mexicans speak Spanish, but this information isn't accessible to a lot of people, and this is definitely a barrier to a lot of our access to health and live healthy lives. So those are my concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Trujillo. Anyone else in the room before I go back to the platform? No? All right, Sheila, would you take number 1 there? I think it was Patricia Lehan. Okay. Would you state and spell your name, Ms. Lehan?
Sure. Pat Lehan. The last name is Leahan.
All right. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I swear to tell the truth. Yes.
Thank you. And I'll start your 3 minutes.
Thank you. I'm representing the Las Vegas Peace and Justice Center here in Northeast New Mexico. Madam Hearing Officer Orth and members of the commission. Speaking of telling the truth, just this morning, as a result of investigations into the oil and gas industry, newly unearthed documents have come to light, including those from as far back as the 1950s. TheGuardian.org published an article today about what was found. Other earlier investigations showed the industry spent decades internally studying the consequences of their industry on our air, land, and water. One study from 2023 discovered that Exxon scientists made what was labeled, quote, breathtakingly accurate predictions of global heating in the 1970s and 1980s. So what did the industry do next? They spent decades hiding what they found, while also sowing global doubts about climate science. So the basic takeaway, we now have further proof that the oil and gas industry has consistently been lying to us. They cannot be believed. They cannot be trusted. Why would we give an entity like that such power? You've heard from so many articulate speakers here today about the known hazards of PFAS, including those already sick and those who live on sacred land that's been contaminated. The industry needs to be better monitored and regulated and should not be allowed to hide the truth from us. Their formula needs to be disclosed, as is done in California and Colorado. Why not New Mexico as well? And the PFAS chemicals need to be banned. This water came out of the spigots of homes in Denton County, Texas. A mayor of a city in Denton County, when he heard that the oil and gas industry had come looking in our pristine area here in northern New Mexico, he drove here with his family and jars of this toxic water. This came out of the spigots of kitchens in people's homes there. He shared how his children are now sick, and he is on a mission to protect other children. Our children and yours, commissioners. Please do the same. Care about the children. And remember that the industry's not telling us the truth, and they're not even telling you the truth. They just cannot be trusted. In your hearts, commissioners, you know this. So please do the right thing. Lack of regulation is deadly, so ban PFAS and require full disclosure. Do it for your kids, and they'll be deeply grateful someday for your decision on this issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Land. Sheila, if you would move to hand number 2 there. This is Robin Schuett-Hames. If you would please state and spell your name. Oh, you're muted. You're muted.
Robin Schuett-Hames, ROBIN SCHUETT-HAMES.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. I'll start your 3 minutes.
Thank you, commissioners. I live in rural Taos County, and I am unfortunately one of many people who are ill from what turns out to be environmental causes. I am very aware that there's a whole community of people suffering, often silently, throughout New Mexico and the West. I was once a bright and enthusiastic college student with a wonderful future and career and public contributions awaiting me. And then I spent decades being often bedridden, homebound with strange ailments, pains, fatigue, thyroid disorders, infertility, inflammation, joint pain. And it was only after, seeing literally hundreds of doctors that I began to make a connection between my own health, those of other friends and community members of mine, and environmental exposures. And it's only recently that I've learned about the science relating to PFAS, and that PFAS are linked to my illness, including things that, well, in some ways are even worse, like cancer, thyroid cancers, and ulcerative colitis. And I'm watching my generation, and the generation after mine be sicker and sicker. We're already losing people to cancer in our 30s. And I'm seeing people developing neuroinflammatory disorders like Alzheimer's in their 50s. I'm not a scientist. I understand that science is complicated and it is difficult for science to say that with any certainty that one chemical leads to one health ailment. But I do know this, we're seeing a pattern, and we have to have the data. We can't have this data obfuscated by secrecy in order to bring these things to light and study them and begin to gain some idea about what is happening to our water, and whatever happens to our water happens to our bodies. One thing I've learned from being sick all this time is that any illusion I had that my body or my life was separate from our water, our earth, and our air is completely delusional.
Ms. Hames, would you wrap up, please?
Yes, thank you. So I just want to say that above all, this is a moral issue, and you commissioners have a profound responsibility to protect our water and our bodies for all New Mexicans. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Schroed-Hames. Sheila, if you would move to hand number 1 now. Nell Burris, looks like.
Yes.
Hello, if you would state and spell your name.
My name is Nell Burris, Nellburrus.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. I'll start your 3 minutes.
Good morning, Madam Chairperson and Commissioners. Thank you for your time. My name is Nell Burris, a retired APS teacher, here to ask the New Mexico Oil and Gas Commission to ban the use of PFAS, particularly in fracking, since that process can introduce PFAS chemicals into our life-sustaining groundwater. In New Mexico, there are approximately 4 spills a day of fracking wastewater from the oil and gas industry, which adds to the risk of drinking water contamination. This is a relatively new topic for me, and to understand it better, I decided to compare PFAS chemicals to DDT, a now banned toxic chemical I remember from my childhood. DDT has a half-life of 2 to 15 years, which means about half of it breaks down within that time frame. PFAS, on the other hand, are reported to last thousands of years. They do not break down easily. The state of New Mexico has set a standard for DDT in drinking water that it should not exceed 2 micrograms per liter. A microgram is very small, but a nanogram is 1,000 times smaller than a microgram. So doing the conversion, 2,000 nanograms per liter is the New Mexico standard for DDT in drinking water. Let's compare 2,000 nanograms per liter for DDT to the EPA standards for PFAS chemicals in drinking water. The EPA standard for PFOA is 7/1000th of a nanogram per liter. That's 0.007 nanograms per liter. And for another chemical in this same class, PFOS, the standard is 1 nanogram per liter compared to 2,000 nanograms for DDT. It is questionable whether there is any safe level, since at even a very, very low level, there is documented link to kidney, testicular cancer, as well as other health problems, which have already been mentioned. The takeaway for me is that PFAS chemicals last way longer than toxical chemicals that the US has banned, and that even very, very low concentrations of PFAS in drinking water are very dangerous. We should not allow companies to obscure their use of PFAS in their attempt to avoid regulation. We need to know when and where these chemicals have been and are being used. Thousands of years of health and environmental impacts is too big of a risk to take for the sake of profits. Physicians for Social Responsibility has carefully laid out the science of why we should stop using PFAS and why we should greatly expand the disclosure requirements for PFAS use, especially in fracking operations. I hope you have read every word of that report, the 2023 report. To me, their recommendations seem logical, sensible, and urgent. Let's follow the lead of Colorado and other states that have already taken the necessary steps to protect residents from these dangerous chemicals. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Burris. I see another hand. I believe it's Ray Ellen Smith.
Hello, yes.
Hello, if you would
Ellen.
state and spell your name, please.
Ray Ellen Smith, Rayellen, last name Smith, Smith.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
I'll start your 3 minutes.
Thank you, members of the commission. I am the president of Indivisible Albuquerque and Reboot Our Democracy. I represent 2,500 activists statewide who are all very interested in this issue, and we are mad. For almost 20 years, U.S. public health advocates have worried that toxic chemicals are getting into groundwater and harming human health because of an exemption to the Federal Safe Water Drinking Act that allows operators of oil and gas fracking operations to use chemicals that would be regulated if used for any other purpose. The so-called Halliburton loophole means that the industry can use fracking fluid containing chemicals linked to negative health effects, and we've heard many people giving testimony about that without being subject to regulation under the act. So this makes poisoning Americans legal. This has to be fixed, and you can fix it. Fracking companies can keep data about dangerous chemicals from state regulators and the public in all but 2 states. California and Colorado require all chemicals to be disclosed, even those that frackers claim are trade secrets. 24 other states have disclosure laws, but allow frackers to keep their secrets to themselves. From 2014 through 2021, 62 to 73% of reported fracks each year used at least one chemical that the Safe Water Drinking Act recognizes as detrimental to human health and the environment. If not for the Halliburton loophole, these projects would have been subject to permitting and monitoring requirements, providing information for local communities about this potential risk. In total, fracking companies reported using 282 million pounds of chemicals that would otherwise be regulated under the Safe Water Drinking Act through 2021. This is likely an underestimate since the information is self-reported and only covers 23 states. It's unconscionable to me that New Mexico would allow chemical disposition of fracked water. We don't know what's in it, and in any circumstance. Until the federal government overturns the Halliburton rule, which isn't very likely, and goes back to supporting the Clean Water Act, we run the risk of killing New Mexicans, wildlife, wholesale ecologies, and our children. We can fix it. It's easy. I'm pretty confident when I say that no oil and gas company executive would ever allow these trade secrets to be disposed of in their water supply, put in their glass of water, put in their swimming pool. So why don't the rest of us matter? Members of this committee need to think about the broader implications to our water supply and insist on disclosure laws requiring full disclosure of all chemicals, including the super dangerous PFAS being discussed today. Thank you for your time. Protect us. It's your job.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Let me ask if there's anyone else on the platform who is present to offer public comment. Please raise your hand on that platform. I don't see any more hands. All right, let me make another sweep of the room here. Is there anyone else in the room who is here to offer public comment? There will be lots of other opportunities this week. Tomorrow, Thursday, Friday. Oh. All right, let me just get confirmation maybe from council that this would actually be a better time to take a lunch break than to leap into opening statements. Yeah. If we come back at 1 o'clock, is that enough time to
Hello, are we?
get... Oh,
does that include those of us who called in?
Oh, yes. I hear a voice. Hold on 1 second. Is this? No. Okay,
called
so
in.
I see, yes, I see a phone number ending in 7751. Sir, if you would identify yourself, please.
Yes, this is Xavier Barraza, Xavier, last name's Barraza.
Okay, thank you for that. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Absolutely.
All right, I'm
Yes.
going to start your 3 minutes.
Thank you. I'm calling also on behalf of Los Jardines Institute. That's the Gardens Institute here in Albuquerque, New Mexico, which is a historical organization working on issues of environmental and economic issues and injustices. So much has been said, and thank you, hearing examiner and those listening and those who have spoken, because I'm not sure what else to say. But what I will say is I did a quick research on the news around PFAS, and I'm just gonna. This is all within the last couple months. PFAS forever chemicals found in South Florida rain. Over 21 types of PFAS forever chemicals have been found in South Florida's rainwater. That's the Sun Sentinel. The Atlanta Journal, just in the last couple of days, Georgia judge lets forever chemicals lawsuits over wastewater sludge advance. Let's keep going because there's dozens and dozens. The Montpelier delays costly PFAS solution for wastewater plant in this looks like Minnesota. Everyone uses Miracle Grow. Well, there was PFAS in Miracle Grow. The lawsuit versus Scotts and Green Technologies, which just closed on October 28th, was sued because there was PFAS from sewage sludge in the Miracle Grow. So watch your Miracle Grow, folks. Forever chemicals reach extraordinary levels in wildlife at Holloman Air Force Base. Hunters are told not to shoot or kill wildlife near Holloman Air Force Base in Alamogordo, New Mexico because of PFAS. Brown University, using personal care products during and after pregnancy can increase exposure to toxic PFAS chemicals, especially in people who are pregnant or lactating. EHN, Maine has invested over $200 million in PFAS mitigation, prioritizing the safety of local foods, while many other states lag in protections. Let's keep going because there's tons. Register today for the upcoming virtual Great Lakes PFAS Summit. 1,147 registrants from 46 states are gathering to talk about PFAS in the Great Lakes. Let's keep going. Brunswick Group organizing to do widespread PFAS screening in the wake of a toxic foam spill because PFAS levels are through the roof in Maine. Let's keep going. Processors ditching PFAS, so this is microchip processors, are ditching PFAS to create PFAS-free products and future microchip processors because the costs are getting too high to use PFAS, aka litigation and getting sued and disclosures. PFAS chemicals are in young adults and may harm gut bacteria, leading to reduced kidney function. This is from the Environmental Health Network, published November 7th of 2024. Let's keep going. Banning PFAS forever chemicals in Massachusetts will protect our health. This is from MassPurg, a local news outlet in Massachusetts, who's trying to ban PFAS from drinking water. Let's keep going. PFAS may affect kidneys via microgut biomes and blood metabolites. This is from Medscape from November 12th, 2024.
Sir, would you wrap up, please?
Yeah, I can keep going. There's probably about another 42 or so articles I pulled up that involve PFAS and other communities around the nation really concerned about this issue. So we're not alone. Oil and gas is not the only industry poisoning ourselves, each other, themselves with PFAS. This is a major issue. Mr. Hearing Examiner and others, thank you for your due diligence in not allowing this any further, as many other states and localities and governments are not as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And if you'd like to submit the rest of your comment in writing, we'd be happy to include it as part of the record. Sheila, would you go to that hand, please? Bianca Supachi Belknap, I think. Can you hear my voice?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes. If you would please state and spell your name for the record.
I'm actually not wanting to give public comment. I work for one of the parties that's intervened in this case. But I'm wanting clarification because it was our understanding that public comment would resume after the lunch break if there are public commenters. And I know of several folks who are planning to comment in the afternoon. So I just wanted to clarify. I heard you talking about going to opening statements after lunch. So
Yes, I'm going to keep taking public comment for so long as it is here to be given. And again, there will be lots of opportunities this afternoon, tomorrow afternoon, every morning and every afternoon, really. But when I believed that there was no more to be given, I was going to get the jump on a lunch break and opening statements. And now I'm seeing hands again. We do have to take a lunch break. When we come back, if there are folks in the room or on the platform still around to give public comment, I will invite it at that point. All right, shall we take one more comment then from, let's see, Mary Martinez-White?
Yes, thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, if you would state and spell your name, please.
Certainly. My name is Mary Martinez-White, and I'm native Nuevo Mexicana. Thank you to the oil.
Hold on. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, I do.
And I'll start your 3 minutes.
Thank you to the Oil and Conservation Commission for your public service and for taking these comments. I urge you to approve the application to amend the Commission's rules to address PFAS case number 23580. In New Mexico, 80% of our water comes from groundwater. Our cultures and traditions are intertwined with water, land, and the environment. None of us takes kindly to the abuse of our beloved state or the harming of our children and the degradation of the health in each and every one of us. Mega corporations hide behind trade secrets, and we all know that. Those who refuse to hold them accountable are complicit in the harm caused by profit at any price. Profiteers must understand that New Mexico is not their dumping ground, and we will not be a sacrifice zone to their economic gain. I support a 100% ban on any use of PFAS and PFOA in New Mexico or elsewhere. But relative to this meeting, I support a prohibition on PFAS and PFOA chemicals in oil and gas operations in New Mexico. And I ask that we require a ban on these chemicals in order to prevent them from contaminating our water and our land. The question is, why would we ever make anything that would be a forever problem? PFAS is linked to kidney cancer, testicular cancer, thyroid disease, high cholesterol, preeclampsia, and ulcerative colitis. These forever chemicals accumulate in our land, in our water, and in our bodies. Our children deserve to be protected from this dangerous exposure.